Ba weep grana weep niniban. And if you don't know what that means, you need to read up on your pop culture. But we're here to talk about the kinds of stupid things that we as collectors hear from other people. And so, let's all introduce ourselves. I'm Sharon. I have been a Transformers collector since 1984.
I'm Darren. I have no idea what I'm doing here. My name is Darren. I've been a Star Wars collector since 1977 and a Transformers fan since the beginning.
I'm Preston. I've been a collector of various anime, Gundam models, original artwork, all kinds of different things under the sun since the mid-90s.
Morgan, I've been a collector of comics and video games and a variety of other miscellaneous nerd hobbies since I've had disposable income around the mid to late 20-aughts.
All right. And what I love here is that we've got a broad range of folks, you know, so this is multi-generational here. But there are some things that we all have in common, and that is people who don't collect tend to ask us some pretty dumb questions. What are some of the dumb things that you guys have heard?
Well, one thing I remember sticking with me is a lot of people would say things like, you know that's not real, right? And making assumptions that, like, I'm not very in touch with reality. It's like, yeah, of course I know it's not real. I know that if someone tried to do this stuff in real life, they would get seriously hurt. I know that these people never actually existed. I get that. I still find them fascinating, and I find the characters in the stories endearing and entertaining. And it did kind of make me make me feel like, what do you care? You know, I'm not. It's this weird judgment that you don't get if you have quote unquote normal hobbies. Like if you want to sit in front of a TV and watch sports for 6 hours on Sunday, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to go to a comic shop or play D&D, suddenly you're a weirdo. You know?
Yeah, so, you know, I have a whole room dedicated to what I like to refer to as my plastic harem. You know, scale figures of various cute anime girls that may cost anywhere from, you know, $80 to $200 or more a piece. And, you know, so one of the obvious first questions is, you know, those things are really expensive. Don't you have anything better to spend your money on? To which I would say, no, not really, because these are things that bring me joy. And, you know, this is my hobby, and this is, you know, what brings me happiness in the world. And so that might seem weird and unusual to somebody that doesn't derive their happiness from things like that. And that's fine if you're not into it, or if you have something that you like more. But this is one of the things that I'm into. And it's one of the, you know, few bright spots for me in this otherwise, you know, dark and depressing world. So it's a perfectly, you know, sane and rational, you know, expenditure for me.
Now, you work for the Department of Energy, so
Yes.
It's not like, you know, you're working as, you know, some clerk somewhere. No, you've got to, you know, you do what anybody would consider as respectable work. And so, you know, so what if you collect, you know, original sketches from anime artists and, you know, have a plastic harem? You know what? You're still contributing to society.
That's right.
Okay. I can remember one sunny morning in 1985. I was in 3rd grade. Classmate of mine, his name was Patrick, ran up to me on the playground, and he says, "How come you like Transformers? Transformers are for boys, and you're a girl." Well, not to brag, but I'm surrounded by Transformers in my house. I've met the voice of Optimus Prime, the voice of Megatron, multiple times. The voice director for the original series, his last voice directing gig was my senior animation project. So, obviously I didn't listen to that classmate. But, yeah, one of the biggest things that I got heat for was being a girl. and liking something that was marketed as a boy's toy. And as I got older, that kind of took on really weird dimensions. Because as a teenager, people looked at my Transformers and they're like, yeah, you like Transformers, huh? And I had to tell people at 16 and 17 years old, look, I love my Transformers, but I don't love my Transformers. That would ruin the stickers. But yeah, I had an entirely different dimension of dumb questions. And I remember a friend from the area, and of course, what's funny is he was kind of nerdy too, but just in a different way. He would bore me to death with rambling about the Zentradi from, what was it, Macross?
Yeah, Macross or Robotech, yeah.
Yeah, I swear I could put the phone down. This was back when we had phones on cords, people. I could set the phone down, get up, do something, come back, and he'd still be talking. Well, he says, Sharon, I feel sorry for whoever you marry. They're going to have to sleep under a shelf full of Transformers.
Damn right.
I remember my buddy was teaching, and he was working as a substitute, and towards the end of the day, you know, they finished class a little early, so he let them kind of just hang out and chill before the last bell came out, or rang out, and he saw that there was about 3 or 4 kids playing Magic the Gathering, and 2 of them were girls, and he told me that, and he and I were both I was kind of like, women and doing nerdy hobbies. Like, I knew there were girls that were into this stuff, but you know, it still struck me as odd. And I remember joking, man, where were those girls when we were going to high school? And he's like, they were around. They just couldn't let anyone know they were around, because you know, when you're a guy, you're kind of.
It's a little more okay, huh?
Well, it's a case. It is more okay, but you also kind of learn that, yeah, they're going to give you grief for anything, so you just kind of have to learn to roll with the punches. I think if you're a girl, there's more expectations for you, so it takes a lot more. It takes a lot more courage and a lot more. I would say, for lack of a better term, gumption. Or moxie to kind of be willing to go against the grain that much. And so I feel I'm happy that women in these younger generations and the girls that are growing up now can be a little bit more open and honest about their interest. And maybe that means shy, nerdy kids like me might actually have a chance of finding someone who shares their interests and maybe getting a girlfriend.
Let me say right off, my mom was one of these people that supported my collecting and also, you know, contributed to my collection. And when the chips were down and my parents divorced, my mom actually stepped in and saved my entire collection.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom. But I can still remember a day when my mom was in my room and she was looking around, and I had just gotten a brand new stash of stuff. And she said to me, Darren, what are you going to do one day when you meet a woman? Says, they're not going to want to take care of all this stuff. You know, and I said, Mom, any woman that doesn't accept the collecting ain't staying. The collecting was here before she was. It will be here after the bitch is gone. You know. And that's just going to be how it is. She says, uh-huh. I said, no, Mom, you don't understand. If that means I'm alone, then I'm alone. Because this is part of me. Period. It's not going anywhere. Fast forward. When I met Sharon,
I think I was holding Starscream with me that day.
Yeah.
Starscream.
And I was like, okay, this is too good to be true. Girl that has Transformers with her, I'm definitely interested. Because I was always a big Transformers fan too. But I remember going home and I was talking to my dad. And I said, I met this girl, she's great. And he goes, what's she going to think of your Star Wars collection? I said, Dad, She collects Transformers. I'm in good shape. And my dad just looked at me, took a drag off his cigarette, and grinned. He goes, "Holy shit, you found one like you, didn't you? Oh my God."
Yeah, but that's the funny thing is people think that, oh my God, you collect stuff, you'll never, be in a relationship. Yeah, you will. Just don't make it an issue. As a matter of fact, if you make it something that you both have in common, then, it might be to your benefit. I can't tell you how many guys I see posting on Facebook about, oh, my girlfriend or my wife, can't understand my collection. She doesn't approve of this, or I'm going to go buy this, and she's going to get mad. And I've seen people at toy shows that they're either rebuilding their collection after they had to sell off a bunch of stuff in a nasty divorce, or there was one guy who had a mint and box Megatron figure, and that was the only thing he managed to keep from the divorce, and he was getting Frank Welker to sign it. Really crazy stories like that. And look for somebody that shares your interests. They're out there.
One of the most difficult things for anybody that's a fan of anything is, what do you do when your parents are questioning the validity of not only your collection, but why you even like something? And I had to defend that in the most awkward way possible. It was 1997. The special editions for Star Wars 20th anniversary were everywhere. And of course I was excited. Of course I was enjoying having my 3 favorite movies back in the theater. And I had come home for a break from college. And I had just spent $500 on an original Empire Strikes Back theatrical issue poster from 1980.
It's the kissing poster, right?
Yes, the kissing poster. The one that featured Billy D. Williams on the playbill, but no Lando Calrissian on the poster. My dad figures this out. It wasn't his money, it was my money. At the time, I'm 23 years old. And the man was apparently so bothered by this, he had to talk to me about it. What made it awkward was I was on the can when he had to come in and have the conversation. So my father walks into the bathroom, sits on the tub, which is next to the can. Awkward. And he's like, "Okay, I gotta know. You're 22 years old. What are you doing playing with children's toys?" I said, "Well, Dad, which would you rather? Me play with the toys or the children? Make your choice. Tell me now."
He didn't seem too thrilled about that, did he?
He was not thrilled with that answer, and he said, "I really don't like your tone." I said, "I really don't like your tone." He said, "Seriously, what's the deal?" And I said, "Dad, you like John Wayne, don't you?" And my dad loves John Wayne. I've seen every John Wayne movie ever made because of my dad. "Thank you, Dad." And he said, "Of course, I love John Wayne." I said, "If you had a chance to own one of John Wayne's cowboy hats, would you?" "Oh, yeah." "Would you wear it?" "No." "Why not?" "Because it's John Wayne's hat. It's a piece of movie history." "But if you're not going to wear it, why have it?" "Because it's a piece of history and I love John Wayne." I said, "Okay, great. Why would you want it? It's a hat." And I kept hammering that home, and I said, "If you could have Captain Kirk's phaser, would you want it?" "Sure." And he kept going through it, and finally I said to him, "Dad, why do you love those things?" And he said, "Well, it's because of the principles. It's because of what the John Wayne movies teach. It's because of what Star Trek taught. I love that stuff." I said, "Dad, it's the same thing for me with Star Wars. Star Wars was, for me, A blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid from nowhere who saves the universe. I identified with that. His master taught him one thing. Try not. Do or do not. There is no try. I also identified with that. And I said, Dad, I have no car, no girlfriend, no job, no friends. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I gotta do something. And he goes, alright, I still don't understand it. Fast forward a mere 2 months. And there was a guy that used to be on radio. His name was Paul Harvey. He always talked about the rest of the story. And one week he suddenly started talking about, if you're a certain age and you have kids that grew up in the late 70s and the 80s and they have any of that old Star Wars stuff, they may be sitting on a gold mine. All of a sudden, my father's tune completely changed. Suddenly, it was, are you going to sell this stuff? No, because I love it. He already knew why. Fast forward to Christmas, for the first time since 1980, I got Christmas stuff from my dad. Both of them Star Wars. I come home and R2-D2 is set up on his coffee table. It's a phone, and he's called everybody in the world on it and told them, come see this phone. Because it played music, it did a little dance. He loved that thing. And he bought it for me for Christmas, but he had to play with it first. I found it hilarious. And I'm waiting for that perfect day when I have a spot for it and I can take it out of the box and plug it in. Dad's not here anymore. Most of my collection has been gifts. Most of those people that gave me those gifts, a lot of them are not here. So that collection is more than just Star Wars. It's more than just stuff. It's memories. It's hard-fought victories. It's love. Don't ever stop doing something just because people don't understand. And when people don't approve, do it more.
You're never going to be happy pretending to be something you're not. And if people love you, even if they don't get it, that they should just recognize that it makes you happy.
And let me also add, as a mental health professional, the research actually backs this up. Most people that are collectors and they like things like gaming and anime and sci-fi and stuff like that, they have better social skills than the other folks that don't. They tend to be happier and they tend to be much, much more intelligent. Yes, collecting is a marker for intelligence. We can't help it if the stupids don't get it, but we can dance about it. So revel in it.
Cheers. Feed the algorithms. If you like this video, hit that button. Click subscribe. Share it to your friends. Share it to people on Facebook that are family members or, other folks that you know so that they can see why it is that you collect. Share it with your significant other and tell them, hey, this is, why I do what I do. That's why
And if you want me to get some surgeries to get better, join our Patreon group. Remember, nerds rule.
Cannot believe what I'm seeing!